Alright, welcome back to another Reptile Jones video, and it has been almost a year since I have done one of these collection videos, and it's almost been 2 years since I've done a video in front of this backdrop. So I thought I'd put the two together and bring you guys a new video and update you on the collection.
You are here because the outside world rejects you.
Okay, so before we look at the collection that I do have currently, let's take just a quick reminder back 1 year ago exactly what I had. Alright, now that we've gone down memory lane, let's take a look at the snakes that I currently own. And we're going to start off with this girl right here. Of course, this is my albino ball python. I've had her for a good number of years. She was a Tinley Park pickup back in '06, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head. So she's been with me for quite some time. One of my favorites in the collection. Nice big beautiful snake. She was one of them that I used quite frequently as an ambassador animal when I would go to libraries and such and show the general public how nice these animals can be. But she's still with me. She's still doing good, still going strong, still has a pretty good feeding appetite, although she did kind of refuse last week, but we're also starting to get into that seasonal change, so her feeding will actually start to slow down as per her normal way. Okay, so up next I have this little girl here, which is a super pastel cinnamon ball python. So I have two ball pythons. This one is also a female. Very lovely snake. Got some nice blushing, and I like the extreme washed out look that the super pastel does to her. Get a good look at her. Now she is around, what, a couple years old, I think. Kind of a fussy little eater. For the longest time would only take fresh killed, which is not exactly ideal and not easily available to me. But you know, she goes through these spurts where she'll take frozen thawed real easily, and then it takes me a while to get her to come back, while all the while having to feed, you know, fresh killed. She doesn't really have the strong instinct to do live by herself. I'm afraid that either she's going to get hurt or that, you know, she is not very humane about taking the mouse out. So nonetheless, beautiful snake. Her feeding isn't really that out of context as far as ball pythons are concerned. My opinion, that's what makes them not the #1 best for snake, is because if you're new to snakes and you have something that is picky to eat as a 3-year-old child, you know, it kind of can get a little frustrating, and if you don't have the resources to keep good food supply, then you know, you're even more in trouble. So, but yeah, I mean, she's getting bigger, and as she's growing up, especially around her head, and I will get you guys a closer shot of just how much washed out her pattern and everything looks. Very beautiful snake. Here is a snake that I have not featured on the channel. I've had it now for 3 or 4 months. So I guess this is the unofficial announcement of this snake. It will eventually get its own video coming up soon. And that is an amelanistic corn snake, also called the albino, red albino, however you call it. One of my favorite snakes to have. Corn snakes have always been a favorite of mine, so I can never be long without having one of these guys. And this one here is, if I remember correctly, it's supposed to be a female. Yeah, I would say that tail, either it's about ready to go #2, which it doesn't appear to be, or that looks like a female tail to me. So yeah, nice little corn snake. Again, one of my ultimate favorite reptiles to own. So definitely gonna have one of these, and gotta have one of these in the collection, don't I? So we'll get you a close-up of this one, and then we'll move on to the next. Okay, so the next snake I have is going to be hard for you guys to see from this distance because it is a baby, and it actually has quite the little bit of an attitude, but that's typical for babies, even for this species. But it won't take no time at all, and we'll earn this animal's trust, and it won't be so nippy. But that is this little baby corn snake. This is a coral ghost. So we got the grays, and it's quite the wiggler. It's just this year's hatchling, so it's super, it's such a spaz to work with and everything. But I'll get some more close-up shots for you guys. But anyways, this is a little coral ghost corn snake. So we're gonna have those nice gray colors we get with a hypo melanistic corn snake, and then with the coral in there, we're gonna get some nice pink highlights throughout its body. And as you can see, this guy has a lot a lot of spunk. And this is also a little female, so you know, we'll have to figure out a name for this little girl. But and you see she's just completely full of it. But again, we'll work with her, and then she'll soon become one of the calmer snakes that I have, without no doubt. So we're not going to stress her out too much. We're going to simply put her back in here. I will get you guys some closer shots of her, and then we will move on to the next snake. Let's do this. Okay, so here is the final snake that I have, and for obvious reasons, we're just going to simply go to this snake instead of bringing it over to the photo shoot area, if you will, and take a look at what I have here, which is my now finally green tree python. In earlier videos you've seen where this snake is yellow. She still does kind of have some of that yellow spotting on there, so it's not completely gone, and she's kind of got the blue gray hues on her. If the camera would stop getting overexposed, we could see it better. But yeah, so there we go. That's looking a little better. Now we can see a little bit of the blue gray that she has on her back. For obvious reasons, we won't get her out of here because these guys aren't really the handleable type, although she doesn't do too bad, but I try not to hold her too often. I'm really just kind of get her out when I need to, and it's really just to kind of maybe do some cleaning. And as you can see, she is also back into this setup. The last time we seen a video on her, she was in a full bio setup with the geckos, and I know some of you are probably going to be like, oh yeah, you ate the geckos. Nope, did not eat the geckos. I went back to this more simpler design, just simply because I follow a few pages on Facebook for these guys, and it just doesn't really seem like a good ideal, at least the general census, as far as putting these guys in a bio setup like I had. So, you know, I'm not going to, you know, like pound my chest and pretend like I know everything. I just simply, you know, I'm going to leave it to the people who've kept these things longer and healthier. Not necessarily health. Well, I mean, I haven't had any health issues, but you know, these people have worked with these for far longer than I have. So I am just going to simply take their advice and, you know, agree that perhaps this is a simpler setup is the better setup for these guys. And maybe later on in the future, maybe I'll retackle some type of bio setup and something like that, you know, once I'm more knowledgeable, so that way I, you know, can set it up better. Not that I had any problems with it, but I guess there's long-term possibilities with it. I'm not certainly for sure, but again, I'm going to take the advice from those who have been keeping these things a lot longer than me, and you know, not turn this into like an ego trip and do it anyway. So that is my green tree python. I do want to do just a standalone video on this girl here coming up, talking about her color change, because it was a pretty interesting story, at least I think so, and I want to share that with you guys. So the other thing is she's looking like she's kind of small, but she's eating good-sized mice to small rats when she's feeding. I'm not sure why the camera is making her look so little, but yeah, so that is her. She is perched up here near the door. She's ready to eat, but she's got to wait another couple days. Dinner time isn't until a few more days, so and then here are where the snakes are kept. Just this single rack. All right, so you've seen the snakes. I am literally down to owning 5 reptiles, and all of them are snakes. Honestly, I'm not sure if I will be keeping the ball pythons or not. I think, so let me back up. So it was a year, last November was the last collection update. And actually a lot of that footage was taken in October, because what happened in November is I pretty much sold off about 75% of the animals that I owned. Most of them were gone. And the reason was I was just having some issues, personal issues. At the time I really wasn't fully addressing it, but what I believe, I just kind of lost my passion, my sense of direction with these animals, as far as just kind of that drive on the inside to want to keep working with these animals. And as time progressed, I just felt like it was in the best interest of the animals to rehome them, because as your interest declines in them, things start getting a little bit relaxed. You're relaxed on the maintenance, you're relaxed on the cage cleaning, the feedings and things like that. And ultimately, it's been it was a rough year, to say the least. And ultimately, what I've am slowly coming to the conclusion of is that I've been kind of battling with some depression, and here lately I have started seeing a psychiatrist to help out with all that, and it's done a lot for me. It's helped me a lot, and I'm slowly getting back to my old ways where I actually enjoy the things. Reptiles aren't the only thing that I kind of just stopped doing. Fishing was another thing I loved doing, and I just stopped. It just wasn't fun, and all I can say is I just kind of felt numb, and so it just kind of. So with the fishing gear, I can just put that stuff away in the garage and wait for my interest to come back to it. With reptiles, they're a live, living animal. They need to be cared for, and so before things got bad, none of the animals were in bad shape. They were still being taken care of. I just was at the point where I was having to force myself to do it. I was just really dreading always having to clean and feed, because it felt like that's all I was doing. I never really, I started not enjoying the animals as individual animals, and so I just felt that it was in the best interest of the animals to sell them. That happened end of last year, beginning of this year in January, and then I think COVID kind of played a part in that, not being able to get out. With I'm in Ohio, and we had lockdown orders pretty early on. 1st of April 5th or 6th was when the mandate came down. I was actually off work for only about a week and a half. Then we were opened back up because we're essential, and so I'm thankful for that. But it got to the point where that's all I was doing. I'd go to work, come home, go to work, come home, but anyways, end up selling more of the reptiles, and then, but then at the same time though, not being able to go out and kind of distract myself from the depression, as far as like going out to seeing a movie or going out to dine or going out to a sporting event. I just really was forced to acknowledge that there was some issues that I haven't been taking care of, and I started to work on that stuff, and that's where you've seen the chameleons come in. I purchased the chameleons, and that was a lot of fun. I really, in that time where I didn't have almost no animals, I would often think about if there wasn't YouTube or anything like that, if I was no breeding, no potential of selling babies, anything like that, if I was just going to keep something that was solely of my interest, what were those animals? And for me, it was chameleons. Chameleons were one of those first time animals for me, and corn snakes. So I end up picking up these two corn snakes, and then ultimately, you know, I started to feel better. We, you know, started coming back up, you know, a bit. Mood was better and everything, and then slipped back down, and you know, kind of ruined some things in my personal life, or at least not ruined, but definitely made things difficult. And I ended up selling the chameleons and everything, but I kept the snakes. I kept the 5 that you see, and honestly, the 2 ball pythons still may end up being rehomed. Just because ball pythons are not for me. I really like them as far as what people are doing with them, the way they look and stuff, but as far as keeping them, it's just not an animal for me. But anyways, with this video, as of this video, you know, things are much better now. I'm in a better headspace, if you will, and things are you know, definitely improving. Like I said, I've started to seek outside help to help me you know, figure out things that I thought I could figure out on my own. So, but anyway, so that is what's going on. There will be some more stuff, some more changes to come, but they are positive changes, and to help as far as this, you know, my interest with these animals continues to grow, and probably not get to the level, probably ever get to the level like I was a year ago with all those animals. Just because I want to take this thing slow. I want to enjoy these animals as an individual and just really appreciate having them, and then slowly add on if, you know, it comes to it. That rack I showed you, that holds 7 bins. I don't want to exceed that. And I have the green tree python, and I would eventually like to get a second one, a red neonate baby. That is something I'm really interested in. And then I want to do another build video, and I would like to eventually get a chameleon. But this time I'm only going to get one chameleon, and it is going to be a veiled chameleon. They're just my chameleon. That is I know they're readily available, they're cheap, you know, they're kind of just overlooked, much like corn snakes. You know, we see them all the time, so we don't put much thought into them. But veiled chameleons, for me, that's my chameleon. I love all the other chameleon species, the Jacksons, the Panthers, the Mealer's chameleons, the dwarf little pygmy chameleons. I love them all, but for some reason, it's just having a nice male veiled chameleon is just what I really like. I enjoy that personality that they have and everything. So you know, eventually we will get there, but we're going to take it slow. I'm going to take it slow. And of course, you guys are going to I'm going to bring you guys along. We're going to build another cage. We're going to build it from scratch. I'm going to take what I learned from building those last chameleon cages and add on to that to improve it even better, because that's just how my brain works. If I do it, I don't like to do things repetitively unless I'm improving upon it. But that's just the way my brain thinks. But anyway, so thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking clear to the end. And we'll see you in the next video. Later.